For as long as humans have looked up to the stars, we've dreamed about what it might be like to explore them. When Walt Disney first envisioned Epcot, he imagined a place that celebrated those dreams. A place where the future wasn't just imagined, but experienced. So it's no surprise that one of Epcot's earliest and most ambitious ideas was to take guests on a journey beyond Earth itself. Before Mission Space ever spun guests around and made them sick, and long before Horizons ever opened its doors, there was another plan. One so bold, so technically advanced, and so, expensive, that even Disney's Imagineers couldn't figure out how to pull it off. It was called the Space Pavilion, a grand attraction that would have taken Epcot guests on an interstellar journey unlike anything they had ever seen at a theme park. This is the story of the Space Pavilion, Epcot's most ambitious idea that never quite made it off the launch pad. When Imagineers began developing Epcot Center in the late 1970s, each pavilion in Future World was meant to represent a key aspect of human achievement: communication, energy, imagination, transportation, and Starbucks. Naturally, the next frontier was space. The Space Pavilion was intended to symbolize humanity's growing curiosity about the universe and our place within it. Initial plans for the pavilion date back to 1978, when Disney's design team, working closely with corporate partners like NASA and various aerospace companies, began conceptualizing a massive structure that would be the crown jewel of Epcot Center's Phase 2. This wasn't going to be a small exhibit or film. It was meant to be a monumental, all-encompassing experience. Early artwork and plans imagined guests boarding a massive spherical spacecraft called the Leviathan, or the Titan. Inside, guests would find themselves in a vertical circle vision theater, an evolution of the 360-degree film technology Disney had pioneered in Tomorrowland. The Leviathan would take visitors on an epic trip through the cosmos, using projection screens that wrapped around them from every angle. Imagineers described this as a journey through time and space, where audiences would experience the birth of the stars, the formation of galaxies, and perhaps even glimpse at distant civilizations. Some versions even included simulated G-forces or moving platforms that would make the experience feel like a real spaceflight. In essence, it was an early form of what would decades later become motion simulators like Star Tours or, yes, even Mission Space. The Space Pavilion was meant to inspire, not thrill, but the inspiration would be thrilling. This was a reflection of Epcot's original educational spirit. Guests wouldn't just feel like astronauts, they'd learn about the science, philosophy, and wonders of the cosmos. The pavilion's post-show area would allow visitors to explore interactive exhibits about astronomy, planetary science, and space technology, making it both entertaining and enlightening. Disney even discussed potential sponsorships with major aerospace companies, including NASA, RCA, and various divisions of General Electric. In the late 1970s, the space race still loomed large in the public's imagination, and Epcot's Space Pavilion would have been the perfect continuation of that fascination, a celebration of human innovation. But, as with many of Epcot's earliest and most ambitious projects, the dream quickly collided with reality. By 1980, Epcot Center's costs were spiraling out of control. What began as a $600 million project ballooned to over $8 billion by the time the park opened in 1982. Expensive even for today. With so many pavilions competing for funding and sponsorship, something had to give. The Space Pavilion was among the first casualties. Its projected cost was massive, not only because of its complex theater system, but also because the technology simply didn't exist to make it work. The vertical circle vision concept would have required an enormous projection screen, synchronized movement, and a level of spatial coordination that was far beyond what Imagineers could reliably deliver in the 1970s. At the same time, Epcot's other pavilions, like Horizons, the Living Seas, and the Land, were already pushing the limits of Disney's technology and, more importantly, finances. The Space Pavilion was pushed out to Phase 1, and then rescheduled for Phase 2, and then Phase 3, and eventually shelved altogether. But Imagineers never truly let go of the idea. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, the Space Pavilion concept kept resurfacing under new names and designs. There was Journey into Space in the early 1990s, a concept that would have combined a flight simulator and storytelling to depict humanity's expansion into the solar system. In 1996, Imagineers pitched A Journey Beyond What Is Known, a more cinematic approach that would have reused the existing Horizon show building after it closed. These ideas came close to happening, but Disney's priorities had shifted. Under Michael Eisner's leadership, Epcot was evolving. Eisner wanted thrill rides that could compete with Universal Studios. When Horizons closed in 1999, it symbolized the end of Epcot's first era and the beginning of a new one. Around the turn of the millennium, Imagineer Eddie Soto revisited the concept again, this time proposing something that combined realism, interactivity, and physical intensity. His vision became the foundation for Mission Space, which opened in 2003. It wasn't quite the same as the original Space Pavilion. Gone were the grand sets, the sweeping cosmic visuals, and the educational tone. In their place was something more visceral. In a way, Mission Space was the Space Pavilion's spiritual descendant, finally fulfilling Epcot's dream of taking guests into space. But it also marked a sharp turn, from the idealism of the 1970s towards the thrill-seeking of the 2000s. The original Space Pavilion wanted to make you dream about the stars. Mission Space, on the other hand, was an intense, quote-unquote, thrill ride, clearly different than the original vision. The Space Pavilion is one of those legendary what-ifs in Disney history, a glimpse into a version of Epcot that might have been. It embodied everything the original Epcot Center stood for: curiosity, optimism, and an unshakable belief in the power of human imagination. It wasn't about adrenaline or spectacle, but about wonder, about showing people how vast and mysterious the universe could be. If built, it could have become Epcot's defining experience, sitting proudly beside Spaceship Earth, and a testament to human exploration. But perhaps its very ambition was its undoing. It was way too big, too complex, and too expensive for its time. Yet the spirit of the Space Pavilion still lingers. You can kind of see it in Mission Space. There's also some subtle nods that used to be in Horizons, and dare I say it, even Cosmic Rewind. Every version of Epcot has looked up to the sky and asked the same question: what's next? The Space Pavilion may have never launched, but its legacy endures as a symbol of what Epcot was always meant to be. Not a theme park about fantasy, but a celebration of human potential. It reminds us that sometimes the best ideas are the ones that keep us dreaming, even if they never quite make it off the ground. What do you think of the Space Pavilion? Do you think it should have happened? Let me know down below. And as always, remember rule number 5, relax and enjoy the ride. Thanks for watching.